we need technology to help us innovate. We need to innovate to transform the world.
Talking about the next position when you move to BPM, I know that you moved back to California and you find a job to be a CEO. Can you share a little bit more about the job as being a CEO?
Yeah, and so I got the job before I moved, and I'll just tell that story shortly because it's why our profession is so cool. I decided that I wanted to get back to California, and within like 60 days after making that decision, I ran into a friend of mine, but he was a consultant in the business and everybody knew him. His name was Sam Aldred, and he ran the Upstream Academy, and everybody knew Upstream Academy. Everybody knew Sam. And Sam and I had always been close. And I just said to Sam, Marianne and I are ready to try something different. And we'd really like to get back to California. And that was in September, maybe. And in November, he called me and he said, I have a client, it's BPM, they need a new CEO. I told them they need to hire you, and I'm telling you, you need to go work for them. And I was like, okay. And then whether it's coincidence or karma or whatever you want, that was like late November. And he said they'd like to meet you before Christmas. And I already had tickets to come to San Francisco because Marianne's family was from here. And so we were already on our way out for Christmas. So I changed my flight by a day, came a day early, and spent it with BPM. And I didn't have the job, but I think both the people I was talking to and we knew Sam was right? That they wanted and needed me, and I wanted and needed them. And so then it was a long process. It took a year of meetings, but eventually we decided that was the right thing to do. And I came out to BPM as the CEO. And then I had been in management for quite a while, but I'd not been a CEO, and it's a little different. So I had to learn new things. And I'd also been at the same firm for 25 years. So I needed to learn that people always often ask me what would I do over, or what was my biggest mistake? When I got here, I just assumed that I would have the same level of trust with the partners that were here that I had with my partners at Rehmann. I didn't put enough thought into the fact that I had 25 years to develop that partnership, and these people didn't know me at all. So I should have been more patient and spent more time getting to know people. It all worked out, and we got tons done in the first 18 months, tons done, more than any of us expected. But it was not as smooth as it could have been had I been more thoughtful about the trust element that we just talked about.
You did mention about multiple challenges when you start being a CEO at BPM. Talking about besides challenges, what the best lessons besides what you just shared, what the best one that you have to pick only one that you can share with? And can you provide specific examples about that?
So the best lesson in the specifics examples. So again, I think it's about making sure that you are empathetic and listen to people. And that's more important when you're the CEO than any other time. So again, it's kind of counterintuitive. You think you're finally the top, right? You can make all the decisions. People are going to do what you want. And it's really the opposite. It's when you really have to listen and understand perspectives, and you need to have willingness to follow you and to see the vision the way you see it. And again, you don't get other people to see the vision by telling them it. You have to listen to what they're thinking, and then explain how it aligns. So people think, when you win somebody over, you do so by talking a lot, back to our previous conversation. And it's not, it's by listening a lot. And that's the key. And then the other thing is it's not a job for everybody. It's really hard. It's really hard. I worry about 1,400 people every day. I worry about, are they going to make their mortgage payment? Do they have insurance for their kids? Am I helping them along their career path? Right? All those things. It's really hard, and it's not a job for everybody. You have to have a lot of caring in you, and you have to be willing to take responsibility for a lot of people. And COVID, as we say in Massachusetts, I think you're in Massachusetts, right?
No, I'm staying in California. We actually just traveled to Massachusetts last week for house hunting. And so we went to the very, very funny weather when it's snow and raining at the same time. And then we have to go out and look for houses.
So you'll hear in Massachusetts, I lived in Boston for years, and one of the things they say is something's wicked bad, or it's wicked cool, or it's wicked cold. Wicked, they put wicked in front of things. So being a CEO during COVID was wicked hard. It was really, really hard, because everything you did, you knew impacted 1,400 people every single day. And it was just so important to get it right. And you can't get everything right, but it was so important to get as much right every day as you could get right. So that was probably the absolute hardest time in my career. 2020, 2021, 2022 is brutal.
Yeah, I think that was a difficult time for everyone as well, from leaders to staff to employees.
Everyone.
It's just very challenging at that time. I'm just wondering, because you are the CEO, you are on the top of the firm, and you care about people, you worry about people. How do you reach to people at not the bottom, but the lower level of the firm, like staff, like first year staff, second year staffs? Because for us, when we're thinking about CEO, we're like, oh, I would never talk to CEO. He's high up. Or I will never see him because he's high up. How do you do in that case?
Well, I'll give you one you wanted a specific example on something else, but this would be we do a CEO book club. It's called Books and Beverage with Jim. We do 3 or 4 books a year, and anybody can join. And we have anywhere from 30 to 60 people. There's a core group that does a lot of books, but every time there's somebody new, another 15 or 20 or 30 people that are new. It's the full range, a spectrum of new people so that's one way. And nothing's off limits. We talk about everything. It's just a group of people. So that's a lot of fun. I love doing that. And we have a lot of interaction. I try to attend in events. I go to offices, and I have open office. People can stop in and just talk and say hi. And a lot of people do. So that's another thing. We do a town hall every quarter, and we get about 1,400 people. We usually have like 1,000 attend, and then we do both submit questions in advance, or you can put questions in during the meeting. So there's an open session where I answer questions for people that during that time as well. So there's lots and lots of things you can do. But you're right. When you're the CEO, it's not just new people. You hear less as CEO than you did at any other level in my career. But I hear more from other people, but I don't hear them from the actual person who's got something to say. So you have to really work hard to pull it out and to make yourself approachable. It's okay. So it's a hard thing. But books and beverages with Jim would be my primary example. We do that 4 times a year.
I like that. I love reading books. I listen to audio book every day. What's the most recent book that you just finished in that group?
So I can't remember the title of it, but it was about psychological safety in the workplace. And so we started by doing books that were important to me in my career, but we kind of worked through several of those. So then we let other people submit books. And so the last one was on psychological safety, and this exact topic. How do you feel safe, like talking to the CEO? What are you doing to create an environment where everybody can feel safe, being who they are, bringing up their points, expressing themselves. So that was the most recent book. I got to admit, I like the topic, but the book was very academic. So that was a hard one to do. So we've done different books. When we first started, like I said, we did the books that were important to me. So we did 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Covey. And we did How to Win Friends and Influence People with Dale Carnegie. Those were 2 of the first books we did.
I love those books. I read those books. I think How to Win Friends, that book I read multiple times.
And then one of the ones that was most moving, and I'm not gonna get it right, but it was by Frankl, and it was Man's Quest for something, but it's about being in a World War II concentration camp. That book was brutal. He does not, I mean, you can't, we all have an image of what it must have been like, but he tells it just like it was. And I was really nervous that was going to be too much. And it was by far the favorite book we've done. People cried, it was brutal, but it brought us together, and we were all in the same boat. We were all like reading this book, and we'd get together and we're like, I don't know if I can finish this, right? But we did. We all got through it.
That's amazing. I love that.
It was really good. It was really good.
I'm looking forward to that. I will join that club for sure.
I wish I could. I'm just looking. I wish it was right here. I'll tell you the name of it. Okay, no, I can't find it. But anyways, I think I gave it to somebody to read. Anyways, it's a great book.
I love books. I listen to podcasts, listen to audible books. I feel like now for me to read the book, it takes a lot longer by just listening. So I can listen to the book, audible books when I do dishes, when I do cleaning, when I drive.
I've got hundreds of books in Audible. Yes, you and I are alike.
Yes.
But I would suggest, I know this tends to be more younger crowd, but if there's anybody out there who's got a group of people they're leading and their book club, do a book club. It's great. It's a great way to do it.
Yes. And I'm planning to join Toastmaster as well. A lot of people suggest me, you should go to Toastmaster. I love public speaking. So book clubs and Toastmaster, those are 2 groups that I strongly recommend for young generation. You should join those 2 clubs.
Yep.
Talking about young generation, for people who just recently graduate or people who just changed their career to accounting, I'm just wondering if you can provide some advice, some tips for them to start the career.
Yeah, so we've covered a little bit of it, but I'll repeat them. So ask questions, right? Never give up asking questions early on. So even if you're newer into business, start replacing yourself. So our profession is so funny because you can be in the job 6 months and now you're already a veteran because there's somebody or multiple people, right, who are less experienced than you. Like they don't know how to do their time report, or they don't know, right? They don't know. And so you're already there. You can already help other people. So do that. Focus on helping others. You're never too young to focus on helping others. And then be confident because the newer team members are much more in touch with technology or the latest way to do things, right? And so you can bring something no matter how much accounting experience you have, you certainly still have life experience from a different time than maybe the people you're working with or for, right? So anybody can pretty much tell me something about technology that I don't know, right? So we were joking when we were getting, I've got my new microphone. I've been carrying it with me for 2 years because I'd never set it up. And I said, for Rosie, I'm setting up the new microphone. But 2 years I carried that stupid thing around, right? So people know technology, newer people know technology that even people 5 years older, 10 years older, it's a mystery to them. So you can contribute, so feel confident in contributing because you have things that you can contribute right away. And then common sense, right? If it doesn't seem right, it doesn't look right, it doesn't, doesn't feel like it's the best way to do something, ask about it. Why do we do it this way? What if I did this? What if I took that and downloaded it and ran it? And then wouldn't that work better? Well, yeah, that would work way better. Thank you. Let's do it that way. So be confident, ask questions, contribute, and use common sense.
That's perfect. One of your characteristics you mentioned reminds me one time I worked in private accounting, and then I found that we can do it a lot faster. And I communicate with the accounting manager. She has been working at the company at that time for 20 years. She sent me an email that we're not going to do my way because she has been there long enough and she knows what it is and we're going to stay with her way. And I was like, all right, it's just my proposal, but it doesn't mean that we have to go this way, but I think this way going to be faster. So it's very, sometimes I see the challenge when I work with people with a very fixed mindset that their way is the only one way. That when I work with younger staffs, I always say that if you find a better way, go ahead and just get it done. I care about how the end result, how you go there, you get a faster way, kudos to you. Please go ahead and do it.
So we have I have a good example of that too. So we had a chief financial officer, and then we had a controller, and then we had an assistant controller. And unfortunately, I mean, you don't ever plan it this way, the chief financial officer and the controller left at the same time for different reasons. And so now our top person was the assistant controller. And we were a little panicked. And her name is Wen. And Wen, not only did she never panic, she changed so many things and made him so much more efficient, right? She'd probably been sitting there that whole time thinking, we can do this better. We can do this better. And when she had a chance, so she's now just, it's only been 2.5 years or whatever. She just got promoted to our chief financial officer. And so, by changing things, she was able to fill that void. And we all saw and recognized the leadership and the potential. And now it's not potential. Now it's actuated, right? She's doing it. So yes, change things up. Transformation. We have a whole transformation department at BPM. So you've met our transformation, right? You've met Lindsay, right? So
yes.
we have a person who just leads transformation. What are we doing? How do we change it? And how is that going to transform our firm and transform our profession?
That's when we talk about technology, because technology is just so important right now, especially at this time, at this age. It affects everything, literally everything. That's why a lot of people, when they talk about accounting, just like my husband, he always tells me that, babe, tax, people are going to use technology to just do their own tax. You're going to lose your job. You want to lose your career. And I was like, calm down. It's not just about tax. It's not just about numbers. It's way more than that. But for people who thinking about accounting, their first mindset always saying that, oh my God, we have technologies. Oh my God, we have AI right now. Accounting is going to be replaceable. There's no place for me to be in there. How can you persuade them then?
So I think that technology is a tool, a technique to create innovation, right? And innovation is a tool or technique to transform. So our job as accountants is to focus on the transformation. How are we going to transform the business world? How are we going to transform our clients' lives so they can accomplish what they want to do? How are we going to transform the lives of our colleagues and our communities using innovation powered by technology, right? So they're the lower end pieces, and it's our job to have the bigger picture. How are these things going to transform what we do? Our profession, our clients, our colleagues, our communities. They're just tools in a toolbox. We've always had tools in the toolbox. So the job is not changed, right? We just have better tools. And so we're going to do better transformation because we have better tools.
I like how you showed that picture, transformation. It sounds a lot better than just replacing everything.
So people talk about technology, which is fun to talk about, right? And then they even go up a level and they'll talk about innovation, which is fun. But in and of themselves, those are meaningless. It's what we do with them to transform, ultimately, the world. Like, we're going to transform the world by innovating. And innovation is more than technology, but it's a big piece of it. You can innovate a process, you can innovate a lot of things besides innovating technology. So we need technology to help us innovate, We need to innovate to transform the world.
So with that transformation, does that mean we will have different trainings to our staff now than what we had in the past?
Yeah, but again, I think it's a natural evolution. It's just faster. So what I like to show, I did a partner retreat for a big firm in the Rocky Mountains, and I said, how many people are using ChatGPT? And nobody was. So we just did a little demo, and we just typed in, I'm a manufacturer in the Midwest, and I want to open a business in India, a manufacturing facility in India. What do I do? What do I consider? And please cover tax issues, right? And so, you've done it, right? So within 30 seconds, right, I have a whole outline, right? And they were like dumbfounded. And I said, now, okay, this is what you used to do and bill for. So now they don't need you, but they still need you. Because what does this mean? And how are they going to do it? And what personal experience are you going to add to improve on it? And then think how much more valuable that is, so we can bill more for it, not less, because we didn't have to sit around and look up the reg and figure out the corporate structure, right? That's all done. So now we're going to spend all of our time helping them figure out how to pull it off, get the right people, and all that stuff. So yeah, it's no different than what it ever has been in my 40 years. It's always been the same thing. Something's always coming along to helping us be more efficient, and we have to add value on top of that, and we'll keep doing that.
That's amazing. That's so true. That's what I feel like. That's what we in the industry, we understand that, but we need to explain to people not in the industry to also understand on the same page about what we are doing, so they're not afraid of jumping in this industry or this profession, saying that our profession is secure. We're just getting better, not replaceable. We're just moving better, faster, and further.
Which is the whole world, right? So if we don't, we will be left behind, right? If we don't move faster, we will be left behind. Because what changes in a day-to-day, this is not an exaggeration, what changes in a day-to-day when I was new would take months, right? The difference between what I'm going to do tomorrow because of innovation and what I do today, when I first started, would have been a year what took place, right? And so we absolutely have to just be quicker on our feet. But again, technology helps us with that, right? So it's easier to be quicker because we've got innovation and technology to support us.
That's true. And so talking about that innovation and transformation, we have less people in accounting, and a lot of these people who don't want to be a CPA because people may think that they may not need a CPA license to be successful in this career. Can you say some values, some important aspects of being a CPA comparing with no CPA?
Yeah. So it partly is that apprenticeship model, right? So the experience you gain by being a CPA and working in a wide range of specialties. The exam itself, is made up of multiple special parts, so you can't just be a very slice. You have to have a broad base of experience. The interaction with a wide range of clients is hugely important. The things I learned at General Motors were not the same thing I learned at the Northwood Institute, the little college and university that I did, right? Completely different experiences, but all of those I can call on and have, as a base of experience. The ability to work with, for example, CEOs and C-suite people of wide range of industries, a $5 million business and a $5 billion business, right? To have that range of experience, that's what makes being a CPA unique and very different than a lot of professions. And then the whole licensure aspect and the professionalism that comes with that, the continuing professional education that you have to have. You alluded to earlier, the trust. the respect and trust that you get, which again opens doors for you, gives you access to things that you otherwise would not have had. Yeah, so even if you don't believe you want to be a public accountant for life, it's a great way. It's not so true today because we have fewer, but it used to be you could always leave public accounting for another job, but you couldn't always get into public accounting later. Now that's not so true now because we have a shortage, right? So we'll take people at all different stages of life. But when I started, you needed to get in early because when you were 30, people weren't going to hire you as an entry-level accountant, right? So, but to get in early and have that plethora of experiences early and sets the stage for whatever you want to do, whether it's inside public accounting, and then another thing is people want to be entrepreneurs. Public accountants are entrepreneurs. We all own our own business, right? If you stay in it long enough and you work hard enough and you do well enough, you get to own your own business. I'm one of 80 people who owns a $270 million business. I'm an entrepreneur. It's a great gig.
That's amazing how you explain in that way. Do you have any thoughts about 150 credits to be able to be a CPA? Because it has been such a hot topic right now. People talk about that all the time.
I have lots of thoughts. And you're right. It's hot and it's controversial. And my first thought I would share is that it's in good hands. So Susan Coffey at the AICPA is smart and knowledgeable and on top of this. And that doesn't mean I agree with her. She and I have lots of exciting dialogue about this, but so we're on top of it. So I think the first thing to remember is that it took, and I might have the numbers not exactly right, it took 13 years to get 50 states to agree to be 150 hours. So whether you agreed with that, which I did not at the time, or you didn't, or did agree with it, it doesn't matter. That ship has sailed, right? It's done. It's the law in 50 states, right? And so it would take 13 years to unwind it. And so that's not really practical, right? And what it got for us was reciprocity across all states. Our firm can work in any state. And if we start unwinding it one state at a time, that is going to be a huge problem. So it's 150 is here. It's here to stay for 13 years, at least, whatever. So what we need to do is figure out really hard questions like equivalency. Is there something else besides 150 hours that other states' legislatures will approve or state licensing boards will approve? Those got to be done really carefully, one at a time, make sure, because we don't ever want to lose any state and not have reciprocity. So they got to be done one at a time. Then there's the new AICPA program where we're aligned with, I think it's Tulane, but a college, and with the firms like ours, we're participating. So we're going to pay for students to get that extra 150 hours while they work, that extra 25 hours while they work. And so there's programs out there. So it is here. It's here to stay. It doesn't make any sense to unwind it. Again, whether you were like me and not in favor of it originally, or you were in favor of it originally, we have to come together because it's not going to change. It's here. It's here to stay. And so we need to work through the system. And there's lots of good programs that are being rolled out to help students be able to work, get some relief. It's got all sorts of issues, about, it's underrepresented students. It's added new barriers. So we got to break those barriers down. We got to make the model we have be highly successful, not break the model we have and go back to the days where every state you had to have different licensing requirements. That would not be good for the profession.
Yeah, I have to agree with you about that, because now when I'm going to move to Massachusetts, I don't have to worry about, I have to take more classes to be able to qualify for the state if they have different requirements between California and Massachusetts. So I just need to worry about I believe it's just transferable work to get the license in Massachusetts.
And that's just one example, because because you're one person, but imagine if you were a company and a firm, and even if you're just a little firm and you're only in Raleigh, North Carolina, right? But your client has something that needs to be audited in Massachusetts. Now your whole firm's not licensed. You can't, in the old days, you couldn't do that, right? You would have to get a firm, or you would have to get licensed, or you'd have to, right? And you don't even want to be in Massachusetts. You're just trying to serve your little client in North Carolina, but they have a subsidiary in Massachusetts, right? So that it would be a nightmare to go back. But like I said, this is a top priority. As you know, you're actively involved too. It's a top priority at the AICPA, and I know that they've got great minds working to solve it.
Yeah, we discussed a lot when I was at AICPA, either events or meetings. We discussed so much about this and so many different thoughts, arguments, agree, disagree about 150 credits. You mentioned about different programs. So talking about different programs to be able to get 150, a lot of people, they're taking master degrees path in order to meet the 150 credits for the CPA license, because I believe now you do not need to have 150 credits to sit for the CPA exam. You can take CPA exam before you get 150 credits. That's a great move. And then, but now talking about the master degrees, like for me, I got my master degree, be able to have 150 credits, but then I got master degree in accounting. And then later I choose to work in tax. So it was like, I wish I didn't take my master degree until I know what I'm working on, and so I can focus on the master degree that's going to assist my career growth. I don't know, at that viewpoint from you as a CEO, how would you recommend people to meet that 150 degrees if they should or should not get the master degrees at early stage?
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think to just get the 150 without worrying about the masters, there's some advantage because you can be more selective. So I would suggest a lot of communication courses, writing courses, those kinds of things, because then they would help you regardless of what you went on to do. And I think that you probably, especially if you were able to take some graduate level courses, you would get some credit towards a master's if you then later chose to go on for a master's of taxation or something like that. So yeah, I would agree. And then I think with all the certificate programs, so you, for example, if you were interested in some kind of specialty tax, you don't really need to get a master's in tax. There's like I know, like at Golden Gate University here in San Francisco, they have a certificate program in international tax. So you could go and really just take college level graduate courses on international tax and end up with a certificate. And then you would have that deep knowledge of what the area you wanted to specialize in. So I would consider those kinds of things like communication courses that make you a well-rounded person, and then holding off and then taking a deep dive into your specialty, which may not result in a master's, but results in you being a specialist. That's what I'd suggest it'd be the alternative to the master's.
That's good, because that would save some good money there.
You could save some money there as well. And then there's this new program with the ICPA where firms are agreeing to sponsor. I don't know how many people we are, but we're agreeing to hire a certain number of people with 120 credits or 125 credits, and then they'll work for us on a reduced schedule, and then we'll pay for their final 25 or 30 credits over a couple of years.
Oh yeah, I heard about that at AICPA event last time, but I didn't know how many firms are actually involved in. But I think that's an amazing idea, because people don't have to worry about go back to college, but they can obtain the experience at the same time getting 150 credits. That's super practical about that.
Yeah, and that's how it started. When 150 hours became the new requirement, most of us firms assumed we were going to pay for those extra 25 or 30 credits. But back then, we still had a lot of people interested in the profession. So we soon learned that we didn't have to pay, right? So we could hire people, we could wait till they had 150, or we could hire them at 125 or 30, but they paid for their own. But now the pendulum has swung again, and right now there's not a lot of people. So now it's economically attractive for us to contribute again. So some of that depends on the economy, the flow of students, and those kind of things.
I'm just curious. It's just my thought. I feel like we're talking a lot about shortage. We're talking a lot about that we don't have enough people. But for me, when I think about COVID, people worry about, oh, a lot of jobs going to be gone. Oh, housing market's going to be crazy. And so think about that housing market, for example, for COVID. After COVID, housing market is crazy. People want to go out and get buy the house. Housing prices ridiculously high. And so now talking about shortage in accounting, I feel like right now people say we don't have enough people. At the same time, we have so much technology coming in. And so I'm just wondering, maybe one day in next few years, we may not talking about shortage anymore, and we may talking about how can people stay in the profession, be competitive with technologies, because now we may not need that all many people anymore with technology supporting us. We have transformation there, and we just need good people in this profession and doing really well. And then at that time, it makes this profession so competitive for other people from outside to jump in, because you need to be good with the technology transformation to survive and to grow. Just like how for housing market now, it's just so difficult to find a house. I'm sorry to compare that way because I'm looking at houses every day.
Especially in Massachusetts. It's really tough. My brother from Massachusetts was just here. He just left this morning. He lives in Boston. So I don't agree that the shortage is not here to stay. There are so many factors that are part of what's put us in this shortage that are long-term factors. So there's just basic demographics. There's just fewer babies being born, right? And we're 18 years from COVID, we're going to really see that, because despite what people think, people don't really expand their family during troubling times, right? So during COVID, there's going to be a gap, right, of just not a lot of babies. My son is a OBGYN surgeon specialty, but OBGYN, and the number of babies he's delivering now is already down, right? It's way down from pre-COVID levels. And so we have a shrinking population in our country. So that's not going away. That's a factor. We have fewer college graduates. So that's not going away. We've got kids who missed a year or 2 years of college. So that's not long term, but that's going to be a 4 or 5 year run before they're all caught back up. So that's not going to go away. We are a tough profession who prides itself on working hard. And so that image we need to change, right? We want to be a flexible profession that helps people be successful to achieve their dreams. But that image is not going to change in a year or 2 years. So that's not going to go away. We got to work really hard on that. And then the technology piece, actually, that's what started, in my opinion, the shortage. Pre-COVID, a lot of big firms announced that they were going to reduce their hiring 30 to 50% because of technology. And so kids who were in school said, well, I need to change my major because they're not going to hire as many accountants because of technology. That started before COVID. That started in 2016, 2017. So that's turned out to not be true, right? We need as many people as we did. So the technology scare that really started all of this, in my opinion, was false. So of all the things that it may impact us, I don't think technology is the one that's going to drive the needs down and make it have a glut of people. I don't think that's going to happen, because it didn't happen in 2016, 17, and 18 when we first started ringing the bell that we were going to need fewer and fewer people. That never happened. We still need as many people.
I see.
And I think it mostly revolves around our image. And that's why I was so happy to be with you, because this is a great opportunity to change our image, right? So, but it's when I started, you worked 3,000 hours and you bragged about it. People your age, my kids' age, they think I'm an idiot that I ever bragged about working 3,000 hours, right? Nobody wants to work 3,000 hours. That's crazy talk, right? And so we've got to change that image that this is not a profession where people work 2,800, 2,900, 3,000 hours. People can work 1,500 hours. They can work 2,500 hours, right? We're flexible. We'll figure out how to make a career for you.
I hope all our listeners or people who are watching this video will have a better view, better understanding about this profession, that this profession is shifting to be better in the future. Transforming, yes.
Transforming.
We are transforming to be better. Come and join with us.
That's right.
Thank you so much for the interview today. It's just amazing talking to you. So many topics, so many experience, and then all the big milestones in your career. It's just amazing. And I know that people who are listening to this podcast or watching this video will have a lot of lessons for themselves to be better or to grow faster in this profession.
A lot of it just comes from being around long enough. So, but thank you for having me. And I told you the first time I met you how impressed I am by you, and I continue to be very impressed. And I'm grateful that we had someone like you representing us in the firm, in the profession. So thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you so much again.